The Galactic Empire patrol ship Xerath 9 drifted quietly through deep space. It was a boring night for the crew. Nothing ever happened this far from the core worlds. The stars were calm, the sensors were silent, and the ship followed its usual route like every other day. But then everything changed in one moment. A sharp alarm echoed through the control deck. Red lights flashed across the screens. The sensor officer, a young alien cadet, looked confused as he checked his console again. His hands shook. "Commander, we are picking up a strange energy spike," he said. Commander Redhar frowned. "From where?" The officer swallowed. "From empty space, sir." The bridge fell silent. The crew looked at each other in disbelief. Empty space? That was impossible. Nothing existed there. No jump gate. No warp lane. No beacon. Nothing at all. "It must be a system error," another officer said quickly. "Run a diagnostic." The cadet tapped the screen again. His voice trembled. "Sir, this signal is real." Before anyone could reply, the ship's lights flickered. A low, deep vibration rolled through the hull. Everyone on the deck felt it, like space itself was twisting. Commander Redhar stood from his chair. "All hands alert. Prepare for possible contact." Outside the viewing window, the darkness of space began to move. It twisted like a black curtain being pulled apart. The crew watched, frozen. A thin line of light appeared. Then it grew wider, brighter, until it tore open like a giant wound in the universe. And from that tear, a massive shadow emerged. The ship was enormous, larger than anything the Empire had ever built. Its hull was dark and smooth with no sharp edges, no symbols, no glowing engines. It looked like a silent beast drifting out of the void. Gasps filled the bridge. What is that?" an officer whispered. The Empire's sensors tried to scan the ship, but the readings came back empty. "No data," the science officer said in panic. "It's blocking every scan. It's like the ship is alive." Commander Redhar stared at the warship. He felt a strange pressure, like the unknown vessel was watching them with invisible eyes. "Markings?" he asked. "None." "Alien signatures?" "Nothing, sir." The massive warship slowly turned, exposing its front side. Its surface absorbed light instead of reflecting it. It looked ancient, but also advanced beyond imagination. Fear spread through the crew. A soft whisper broke the silence. "This is not possible. Humans died centuries ago." Everyone turned to look at the officer who said it. His voice was full of shock and confusion. Commander Redhar narrowed his eyes. "Humans? That can't be. The Empire wiped out their last colonies a long time ago." "Yes, sir," the officer said. "But that ship, it looks like the old human designs. Only stronger. Much stronger." As they watched, the strange warship powered up its engines. But the engines made no sound, no heat, no flame, no radiation. Just a faint blue glow that seemed more like magic than science. The energy spike increased sharply. "Commander, their power levels are rising." "Battle stations," Redhar shouted. The crew rushed to their positions. Shields activated. Weapons charged. But the unknown warship didn't fire. Instead, it drifted calmly toward Xerath 9 as if it knew exactly what it was doing, as if this moment had been planned long ago. A communication alert blinked on the console. "Sir, it's sending us a signal," the comm officer said. "Audio only." "Put it through." Everyone held their breath as the channel opened. Static crackled. Then a deep human voice filled the bridge. "Galactic Empire." The crew froze. A cold chill ran through every officer. Humans were extinct. Humans were history. Humans were a ghost race. And yet, the voice continued, steady and calm. "We are back." The bridge burst into chaos. Officers stood up, shouting over each other. "This is impossible. They should be dead. Are they attacking? Is this a trap?" Commander Redhar raised his hand. "Silence." He stared at the towering warship outside. His mind raced. If this really was a human ship, then humanity had not only survived, but had grown powerful enough to hide from the Empire for centuries. The void tear behind the ship began to close, folding in on itself until nothing remained but stars. Sensors beeped with more alarms. "Commander, the ship is powering its weapons." Redhar clenched his fists. "Hold position. Do not fire unless fired upon." The unknown warship aimed its long, smooth cannons directly at Xerath 9. The Empire ship shook as energy waves pressed against its shields. The crew waited, sweating, terrified. Then the human voice spoke again. "This is your only warning. The energy readings spiked to dangerous levels. The deck lights flickered again. Redhar felt the hull groan under the pressure. The human voice grew louder. A new war is coming. And this time, humanity does not run. The connection cut. The warship's engines flared. And then, in a single flash of white light, it disappeared. Just vanished. Silence filled the bridge. No one dared speak. Every officer, every soldier, even Commander Redhar felt the same thing. This was only the beginning. The humans had returned. And the galaxy was not ready. For several minutes after the human warship vanished, the bridge of Zareth 9 remained frozen in absolute silence. No one moved. No one spoke. It felt as if the air itself had turned heavy. Commander Redhar stared at the empty space where the unknown vessel had stood just moments ago. His voice finally broke the silence. Was that real? The sensor officer checked his console again and again, as if hoping the readings would change. Sir, every system confirms it. The ship generated a gravitational distortion we have never recorded before. It bent space like paper. Rethar's hands tightened around the armrests of his command chair. Humans, bending space? It was unthinkable. An officer stepped forward. Her face was pale. Commander, if the reports from ancient archives are true, humans were barely spacefaring when the Empire encountered them. They used metal rockets, chemical fuel, weak tech. And now they do this? Another officer whispered. The crew exchanged nervous looks. Redhar stood slowly. Prepare a full report. This must go straight to high command. No one argued. The Emperor hears the news. Light years away, inside the shimmering golden walls of the Imperial Palace, the Emperor sat upon the galactic throne, a massive seat made of crystal and energy conduits that pulsed with power. His eyes glowed faintly as the holographic recording from Zareth 9 played before him. The moment the human voice said, "We are back," the Emperor's expression changed for the first time in decades. Fear and anger. He rose from the throne, his long cloak dragging across the floor. "This should be impossible," he hissed. Humanity was destroyed. Their worlds burned. Their colonies crushed. A Grand Admiral approached carefully. "Your Majesty, history records were incomplete. The old wars were chaotic. It is possible some humans escaped." The Emperor glared. "And returned, with this power?" He replayed the image of the massive warship emerging from the void. "This ship defies our science. It defies our understanding. What have the humans become?" The Admiral swallowed. "If they have such ships, then their fleet may be far stronger. This could be a threat to the whole Empire." The Emperor turned sharply. "No, not a threat." Then slowly, "A declaration." The Empire panics. Across the Empire the news spread like wildfire. The humans have returned. Military academies went on high alert. Fleets were deployed toward border systems. Even the normally calm trade worlds were filled with fear. Rumors spread fast. They came from the void. They have technology that ignores scans. They destroyed a cruiser with a single warning shot. They are preparing for war. And with every rumor, fear grew. Commander Rethar's regret. Back on Zareth 9, Commander Redhar watched the crew quietly. Everyone was shaken. He looked out the large viewing window. That part of space looked normal now, peaceful even. But he knew the truth. The galaxy would never be the same. The calm officer approached. "Sir, High Command wants you to return immediately. They want every detail." Redhar nodded. "Prep the engines." As the crew moved, the junior sensor officer approached Redhar nervously. "Commander, may I ask something?" "Yes." "Do you think they'll come back?" Redhar didn't answer immediately. He remembered the human voice. It was calm, strong, almost cold. Not angry, but confident. Like someone who had chosen this moment very carefully. Finally Redhar spoke. "Yes," he said quietly. "They will come back. And next time, it may not be a warning. The human ship's destination." Far away in the dark outskirts of the galaxy, the human warship reappeared with a silent flash. Inside its command chamber, the human commander stood before a holographic map. Blue light reflected off his enhanced neural implants. A smaller officer approached him. "Commander, did they react as expected?" The commander gave a slight smile. "Yes. The Empire is afraid." "Good." Another officer stepped forward. "And the next target?" The commander looked at the map. Dozens of red dots marked Imperial worlds. But he pointed to a single one. Vorth Prime. The officer blinked. "That is an inner world. Heavy defenses. Why strike there first?" The commander's voice dropped to a cold whisper. Because that is where they keep the prisoners. The officer stiffened. You think there are still humans alive? The commander stared at the glowing hologram. I know there are. He closed his eyes for a moment. And we are going to bring them home. The warship's engines flared again. But this time the glow was brighter. More powerful. Almost angry. The Empire makes a decision. Inside the Imperial Palace, the Emperor gathered his top admirals. We will not wait for the humans to strike, he declared. We will find them first. But Majesty, an admiral began. Their technology? The Emperor raised his hand. No excuses. No fear. Summon the Imperial Dread Fleet. Prepare our best weapon. The room fell silent. Everyone knew what he meant. Project Eclipse. A weapon built for one purpose. Destroying entire civilizations. The Emperor narrowed his eyes. If humanity wants war, we shall give them one. Final moment, rising storm. Back aboard the human warship, alarms sounded. A sensor officer shouted, Commander, we've detected a massive energy surge in the Empire's inner region. The commander's eyes hardened. Eclipse. They activated it sooner than expected. The officer asked nervously, What do we do? The commander turned, eyes glowing. We move faster. The warship jumped into the void with a burst of light. And the first shadow of the coming war fell over the galaxy. Humanity had returned. And the Empire had no idea what was coming next. The human commander speaks. The human warship tore through the void with impossible speed. The stars stretched into silver lines around it, and deep inside the command chamber, the atmosphere was tense. The human commander stood with his hands behind his back, staring at the holographic map of the Empire. Red lights pulsed around one location, Fourth Prime. A heavily fortified Imperial world, and the rumored prison site. A young officer stepped beside him. Commander, do you truly believe humans survived on that world? The commander did not look away from the map. I do, he said quietly. The Empire never wastes resources. If they captured humans during the Great War, they would use them. Experiment on them. Study them. His jaw tightened. They would never kill something they think they can exploit. The officer's eyes widened. So you think they kept them alive, for centuries? The commander turned. The glow from his neural implants flickered like lightning. I don't think, he said. I know. The Empire in chaos. Meanwhile, at the Imperial High Command Center, panic spread like fire. Dozens of holographic screens floated around the room, all showing the same message delivered by Zareth 9. We are back. Admirals shouted over each other. How did they hide from us? What technology is this? Why warn us? Why speak at all? This could be the biggest threat in 1,000 years. The Emperor entered. Instant silence. He moved through the room with slow, controlled steps. His voice was cold. Show me the trajectory of the human ship. A strategist bowed and pulled up a large map. Your Majesty, we believe they are heading toward the Vorth system. A wave of alarm swept through the room. Vorth Prime? But that's where. The prisoners? The Emperor raised one hand. The room fell silent again. His voice dropped, filled with frozen rage. They know. A young officer stuttered. Why, Your Majesty, if they know about the prisoners? They will come for them, the Emperor said. Humans never forget what you take from them. Not family. Not freedom. He turned sharply. Prepare the Vorth defense grid. Move the dreadnoughts into position. And activate Eclipse. Several admirals' eyes widened. Majesty, Eclipse is unstable. Activate it, the Emperor snapped. If humanity wants to rise again, we will crush them before they take their first step. The human ship arrives. The human warship dropped out of the void. Before them, like a steel moon, floated Vorth Prime, a planet wrapped in shields and defense cannons, surrounded by an entire fleet of destroyers. The crew looked at the massive armada. Commander, this is an impossible battle, the tactical officer whispered. Even with our ship, the enemy numbers. The commander raised his hand. We are not here for war. The officer blinked. But, their fleet. They will fire first, the commander said calmly. They always do. The first contact signal. Inside the Imperial flagship, alarms blared. Unknown ship entering orbit. It's the humans? All units prepare for attack. The Imperial fleet locked hundreds of weapons onto the human vessel. But before the first shot could be fired, a voice echoed across every ship in the system. A human voice. Come. strong, confident. Galactic Empire. This is Commander Eric Vale of the Human Ascendancy. The transmission played on every deck, every chamber, every comlink. We come seeking our people. The ones you took. The ones you hid. The Emperor appeared as a hologram in response. His eyes were filled with hatred. You dare speak to the Empire as if you are equal? Commander Vale did not blink. No, he said. We speak as the ones you failed to kill. Gasps spread through every Imperial ship. The Emperor snarled. You have no right to demand anything. Commander Vale leaned slightly forward. We do not demand. A small pause. We warn. The Emperor laughed, a cold, cruel sound. You think we fear you? We have Eclipse. The bridge of the human warship grew silent. Everyone looked at Commander Vale. He spoke softly, almost whispering. I know. And that is why we are here. The Empire fires first. A single Imperial dreadnought moved into attack position. Target locked. Charging main cannon. Fire. A massive beam of burning red energy shot toward the human ship. The crew on the human warship didn't even flinch. The beam struck their shields. And vanished. No explosion. No impact. Not even a ripple. It was as if the attack had never existed. The Imperial officers stared in horror. That was our strongest cannon? It cannot be. How did they? Commander Vale's voice returned. Your weapons cannot harm us anymore. Your science cannot match ours. Your fear cannot stop us. He pointed toward Vorth Prime on the hologram. We are coming for our people. The Emperor slammed his fist on the throne armrest. Then you will die with them. He gave the order no Emperor had given in centuries. Activate Eclipse. Fire the star. The star begins to die. Deep inside the Vorth system, the artificial weapon hidden in the star awakened. Eclipse. A weapon that drained a star's energy, turning its light into a destructive beam capable of burning a planet in one shot. Alarms sounded everywhere. The star's surface burst with unnatural light. Commander Vale watched the readings. They are going to collapse the star, he said. His crew froze. But Commander, an officer whispered, if Eclipse fires, millions will die. Their own planets. Yes, Vale said softly. Because the Empire does not care who burns, as long as they win. He stepped forward. Prepare the stellar net. We stop Eclipse now. The crew's hands moved quickly. For the first time, the human warship revealed its true function. Not just a warship. A superweapon of its own. Energy built around it, forming a swirling blue sphere. The star trembled. The Empire prepared to fire. The humans braced. And the galaxy held its breath. The true war was about to begin. The star in the Vorth system roared like a wounded beast. Its surface twisted with violent waves of fire, glowing brighter than ever before. The Eclipse weapon buried inside it had awakened fully. Every ship, Imperial or human, felt the shockwaves. Inside the human warship, the bridge dimmed as power rerouted. Blue energy arced across the floor panels, lighting the command chamber like a storm contained inside metal walls. Commander Eric Vale stood tall, watching the dying star through the massive view screen. The Empire is desperate, he said calmly. They will collapse the star just to stop us. The officers around him felt the weight of his words. Commander, if that star goes critical, one officer whispered, the entire system will be destroyed. And every life on Vorth Prime, another added. Vale's gaze hardened. They would kill their own people to deny us the truth. The Emperor's final gamble. Far away, inside the Imperial Palace, the Emperor watched Eclipse's activation through a golden hologram. The star glowed an unstable white. Energy spiraled out of its core like burning threads. A Grand Admiral hesitated. Majesty, the star cannot hold this for long. If we push Eclipse to full charge. Do it, the Emperor commanded. His voice was ice. Humanity must not survive this day. The Admiral swallowed. But Vorth Prime, our soldiers, our citizens. They are tools of the Empire, the Emperor snapped. All tools break eventually. Fear rippled through every admiral present. None dared to oppose him. The secret of Vorth Prime. Inside the human warship, data from the stellar drones streamed onto the main projection. Lines of ancient encrypted text appeared. Photos. Old reports. Cruel experiments. Everyone on the bridge went silent. One officer whispered in shock. Commander, these files, the Empire hid this? Vale nodded slowly. They hid everything. The hologram shifted. A cage. Inside it, humans. Thin. Pale. Wearing metal collars. Crying. Silent. Broken. Children. Men. Women. All of them still alive. The crew felt the breath leave their lungs. For centuries the Empire lied. For centuries the Empire used humans as test subjects. Biological research. Weapon experiments. Genetic harvesting. Forced labor. They turned humanity into a resource. Vale's voice was low, shaking with controlled fury. "This is why we came," he said. "This is why we built ships stronger than their fleets. This is why we mastered the void paths." He touched the hologram gently. Because somewhere out here, our people were still suffering. A deadly silence followed. Then Vale straightened. "And we are done letting them suffer. The star begins to break." The star cracked. Not physically, stars didn't crack, but energy fissures ripped through it like lightning trapped inside a sun. Engineers aboard the human ship shouted readings. "Commander. Stellar instability at 72%. Eclipse is drawing too much power. If they fire now it will cause a chain reaction." Vale raised his hand. "Prepare the stellar net." A faint humming filled the ship. Panels opened on the hull. Hundreds of blue spheres floated outward, forming a massive geometric web around the star. Imperial ships panicked. What are they doing? Are they attacking the star? Are they trying to destroy us all? No, wait, their net, it's stabilizing the star. Admirals stared at the impossible readings. The humans were trying to save the star. They were protecting the Vorth system. The Emperor's rage. The Emperor watched the readings. The star's collapse slowed. The stellar net was working. He slammed his fist against the armrest. "Cowards. They think they can stop Eclipse." He leaned forward, voice trembling with fury. "Increase power. Burn the star. Burn everything. If I cannot kill the humans, then no one will." The technicians hesitated. "Majesty, if we increase power, Eclipse will." "Do it." And so they did. Imperial science did not argue with Imperial orders. The human ship struggles. The stellar net shook violently. Spheres overloaded. Blue lightning blasted across the dark space. "Commander. We are losing nodes. Eclipse is overpowering our array. Containment is failing." Vale's voice was calm but sharp. "Reinforce grid sectors 3 through 9. Shift power from the main cannons." The ship vibrated dangerously. Metal groaned. Panels sparked. But the crew refused to give up. One officer shouted from the console. "Commander, we can stabilize it, but only for 3 minutes." Vale nodded. 3 minutes is enough. The descent to Vorth Prime. The human warship's engines ignited. But instead of retreating, it charged straight toward Vorth Prime. The Imperial fleet reacted with terror. "They're coming. Block them. Don't let them reach the prison world." Dozens of Imperial ships fired. And every shot bent around the human vessel like water splitting around a stone. It flew through the barrage untouched. Inside the prison complex. On Vorth Prime, panic spread through the Imperial guards. Sirens wailed. Lights flickered. Energy shields cracked. In a deep underground room, human prisoners looked up weakly as dust fell from the ceiling. One young human girl whispered, "Are the stars falling?" An older prisoner shook his head. "No," he whispered with tears in his eyes. "Not the stars." He smiled for the first time in decades. "Our people have come." The human commander's vow. As the human warship broke through the last defensive barrier, Vale stood tall on the bridge. His voice echoed through the ship. "For centuries the Empire tried to erase us. They tried to break us. They tried to hide the truth." He looked at the burning star, the collapsing system, the world of suffering below. "But today," he said, "we take back what was stolen. Today, humanity rises." The ship descended into the storm. And the entire galaxy trembled. The rescue was about to begin. And the Empire had no idea how far humanity was willing to go. The human warship dove toward Vorth Prime like a falling star made of silver and light. Flames from the collapsing sun lit the sky behind it, turning space into a swirling storm of orange and blue. On the bridge, alarms echoed sharply. "Commander. Eclipse is reaching critical charge. Stellar net holding at only 40%. If it breaks, the star will collapse instantly." Commander Eric Vale never looked away from the screen. "We hold it," he said. "We hold it long enough to save them." The crew nodded without hesitation. Every one of them knew the mission was more important than their lives. The Emperor's last order. Inside the Imperial Palace, the Emperor watched the charging Eclipse core. The star burned brighter than ever before, too bright, too unstable. A senior scientist fell to his knees. Majesty, we must stop. Eclipse is overloading. If we push 1% more. The Emperor didn't let him finish. 1% more, he hissed. If the humans want their people, they will get ashes instead. Another scientist screamed. The star can't take it, it will die. The Emperor's eyes burned with madness. Then it dies with them. The stars scream. In space, the star erupted. A violent shockwave shattered the stellar net. Blue orbs exploded one by one like dying fireflies. The human ship shook so hard that several officers grabbed onto consoles to stay standing. Containment lost. The net is gone. Commander, the star is collapsing. Vale closed his eyes for half a second. Then we move faster. Breaking the shield. Vorth Prime's surface was covered by an enormous planetary shield, thick, golden, and unbreakable by normal weapons. But the humans didn't fire normal weapons. Vale raised his hand. Cannon 7. Resonance pulse. The tactical officer hesitated. Sir, we've never used that weapon in atmosphere before. It could. Fire. The officer obeyed. A low vibration filled the entire ship. It grew louder. Deeper. Like the sound of a massive drum inside the universe. A beam of pure sound and energy shot from the warship, at first invisible, then glowing blue. It struck the shield. The shield rippled. Cracked. Broke. A shockwave blasted across the planet. Imperial bases trembled. Towers collapsed. Ground forces screamed. The shield fell. And the human ship descended like judgment. The prison riots. Deep under the surface, the prison guards heard the shield collapse. Panic erupted. Evacuate. Destroy the records. Do not let the prisoners escape. One officer slammed a fist on a console. If humans get down here, the Emperor will have our heads. He never finished. The ground shook. Dust showered down. Lights flickered. A prisoner, an elderly human, stood slowly and placed his hand on the wall. They're here, he whispered. His voice cracked. They finally came. The younger prisoners stared with wide eyes. For us. Are we really saved? Is this real? The old man smiled through tears. Yes, he said. For the first time in centuries, this is real. Drop teams deploy. The human ship opened its lower hangar. Dozens of drop pods shot out, silver capsules with glowing blue boosters. Each carried an elite human soldier. The pods fell through clouds of burning debris, dodging explosions and collapsing energy beams. Inside one pod, a soldier whispered into the comm. For the lost. Another answered. For humanity. The pods slammed into the ground like thunder. The doors blew open. And the human soldiers stepped out, armor shining, weapons humming softly, eyes focused. The Empire had never seen humans like these. Stronger. Faster. Genetically enhanced. Boy-trained. They moved as one, a silent storm. The Imperial defense breaks. Imperial soldiers fired desperately as the humans advanced. Hold the line. Do not let them reach the lower levels. There are thousands of prisoners. A human soldier raised his gauntlet. A shimmering barrier appeared, absorbing every blaster shot like raindrops. Another soldier sprinted forward, moving faster than any Imperial had ever seen. Two more hacked into the base doors, overriding systems with impossible efficiency. Every minute, the Empire fell further behind. The star nears collapse. Back in orbit, the dying star trembled violently. Alarm screamed. Commander, the star is collapsing into a singularity. Eclipse has destabilized the core. We have only minutes. Vale stared at the star. What is Eclipse's current charge? 92%, but rising. If it reaches 100, it will fire. And then everything in this system dies. Vale nodded. Prepare the stellar lattice. Stabilize the outer corona. A shocked engineer stared at him. Commander, if we extend the lattice manually, you'll be exposed to. Vale's expression didn't change. Do it. The Emperor celebrates too early. Far away, the Emperor smiled as he saw the star collapsing. So, humanity will die again. But he did not notice. The star's light was changing. Not fading. Not dying. Fighting. The humans were holding it together. Barely. The reunion. On Vorth Prime, the drop teams reached the deepest prison level. The door blasted open. And the prisoners, pale, thin, frightened, stared at the armored soldiers. A small child stepped forward. Are you really from Earth? She whispered. A soldier removed his helmet. His eyes were gentle. Yes, he said. We came for you. The prisoners collapsed into tears. After centuries of darkness, light had finally returned. But the star begins to break again. The human warship vibrated violently. We can't hold it. The star is reaching collapse point again. We must evacuate. If we stay, we die. Vale heard each voice. Then he spoke, calm and absolute. No. Everyone turned to him. We stay until the last human is safe. Even if the star kills us. The crew stared. Then, one by one, they nodded. Until the last, they echoed. Final moment, the impossible charge. The Eclipse weapon reached 99%. The star screamed. The Emperor raised his hand to give the final order. The human soldiers rushed to evacuate the prisoners. The human warship strained to hold the star stable. Everything came down to the next heartbeat. And then, Eclipse reached 100%. A beam formed in the star's core. The weapon fired. Straight toward Vorth Prime. And toward every human still inside. The galaxy held its breath. The end, or the beginning, was 1 second away. Eclipse fired. The beam shot out from the collapsing star, white, golden, and violent, like the birth of a new sun. It tore through space, ripping apart dust clouds and vaporizing anything in its path. It was heading straight for Vorth Prime. Straight for the prisoners. Straight for the human rescue teams. And straight for Commander Eric Vale. The galaxy froze. Even the Emperor stopped smiling. The impossible countermeasure. On the human bridge, every officer stared at the incoming beam. It's too fast. We can't shield against the star-class weapon. If Eclipse hits the planet, everyone below dies. Vale didn't blink. Activate the lattice. Full expansion. The crew gasped. Sir, that will expose our core systems. The ship might tear apart. You won't survive. Vale only said, do it anyway. The stellar lattice, a massive network of blue energy rings, expanded from the ship like blooming wings. The ship screamed under the pressure. Metal twisted. Hull plates shook. But the lattice grew larger. And larger. Until it stood between the beam and the planet. The collision. The Eclipse beam hit the lattice. The explosion lit space brighter than the sun. The shockwave slammed into the ship. People fell. Consoles exploded. Lights flickered. The crew covered their eyes as the ship's energy core burned at full power. For a full 10 seconds. The lattice held. And then, a deafening crack. The left wing of the lattice snapped. The right wing shattered. The beam broke through. But its power was weakened. Still deadly. Still enough to destroy the planet. Unless someone did the impossible. Vale's last command. The bridge was shaking violently. Panels fell from the ceiling. A young officer cried out. Commander, we can still run. We can save ourselves. Vale looked at the screen, at the planet below, at the prisoners, at the drop teams fighting to evacuate them. Order all drop teams. Get every last human off that world. Another officer shouted over the alarms. Sir, what about us? Vale turned toward his crew, calm and proud. We are the shield. We always were. And shields do not run. The crew stared at him, fear in their eyes but something else too. Honor. Until the last, Vale said. The crew whispered back. Until the last. Ground team chaos. Below, in the prison tunnels, the human soldiers looked up as the ceiling trembled. What was that? Another shockwave. The star weapon fired, hard. A little girl screamed as dust rained down. The squad leader lifted her. We have to go. Now. The rescue teams moved fast, faster than anyone thought possible. Doors blasted open. Old humans were carried on shoulders. Children were shielded by armored soldiers. Every hallway echoed with footsteps, breathing, and explosions. In a dark corridor, one old man whispered. I knew they'd come back. I knew it. The Emperor's final gamble. Inside the Imperial throne room, the Emperor stared at the weakened Eclipse blast. No, 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 he shouted. Why isn't it destroying them? The chief scientist trembled. The human ship weakened the beam, Majesty. It's possible the planet may. The Emperor shoved him aside. Send every fleet in the sector. Crush that ship before they save even one more human. Officers froze. My Emperor, our fleets are already fighting across the outer systems. We cannot. Do it, the Emperor roared. His madness filled the room like poison. The fleets arrived. In orbit, hyperspace windows opened. Dozens of Imperial destroyers dropped out. Then cruisers. Then dreadnoughts. Weapons charged. The human ship was alone. Injured. Barely holding together. But it did not move. It stayed in front of the planet. like a guardian refusing to fall. An Imperial admiral spoke over comms. Human vessel. Surrender now. Vale answered with steady calm. No. You will all die, the admiral warned. Vale closed his eyes. Better we die than leave our people behind. The crew refuses to abandon him. Smoke filled the bridge. One officer collapsed. Another dragged them back up. Commander, an older officer said weakly, if we override the controls maybe we can escape. No, Vale said softly. You have families. So do you, the officer replied. Vale looked at his crew, broken, burned, exhausted. And he saw determination. We stand, the engineer whispered. We protect, the navigator said. We are humanity, the tactical officer finished. Vale's heart clenched. They weren't crew anymore. They were his family. The final passage opens. On the planet, the last group of prisoners reached the extraction point. Drop ships roared upward, engines burning bright. Go. Go. Everyone is loaded. We are the last group. All humans are aboard. A soldier hit the comm. All evac teams clear. Repeat, all humans retrieved. On the bridge, the message arrived. Vale finally exhaled. A small, tired smile crossed his face. Good. Then he gave his final order. All power to forward shields. We take the full blast. The crew obeyed. Without question. Without hesitation. The second impossible moment. The weakened eclipse beam struck the ship's hull. The ship shook like a dying giant. Panels blew apart. Engines flickered. Metal screamed. But humanity's last warship did not fall. It held. It took the hit meant for the planet. The explosion rippled across space, scattering fire, dust, and light. Then, silence, smoke, darkness. The human warship floated, dead but standing, its massive wings shielding Vorth Prime completely. The prisoners watched from orbit windows. Some cried. Some fell to their knees. One child whispered, "They saved us." The Emperor sees a ghost. The Imperial Admiral stared in shock. That ship survived? Another officer spoke softly. It's impossible, sir. No ship can take an eclipse beam. And in the far distance, through the fading light, the Emperor watched from his throne screen. For the first time in his life, he felt fear. Real, shaking, bone-deep fear. What have the humans become? But then, in the darkness of the battlefield, a spark appeared. Just a small one. Then another. And another. Until the entire human warship lit up with white-blue energy. The engines roared back to life. The wings unfolded. The cannons charged. Humanity's last warship rose again. Like a phoenix from ashes. Every Imperial officer froze. Every prisoner stared. Every soldier felt hope return. The ship broadcast a single message into the galaxy. Round 2.